the mic.
I got to grab the mic.
Yes,
sir.
Joe is here. But we do have a new sponsor I want to tell you about. My buddy, my pal, my friend, James and all the gang down there at Smart Hardware. That's right. Smart Hardware Building Supply, carrying guns, ammo. They're also Smart Hardware and guns, yes. So think about it. They have, you can go visit their website at smarthardware.net. They're also on Facebook. And it's the place for all your hardware building needs, lumberyard plumbing supplies. They also have Valspar paint, along with electrical supplies, lawn and garden, screws, nuts, bolts, you name it. They've got it all down at Smart Hardware. We're going to be talking them up all month long, so get ready for it. All right, the taxi's pulled up. Joe has got out, the Bryant insurance guy. And, Joe, on a morning like this, a little rain, got to be careful out there.
You know, you kind of do. It was a little slick. We heard the thunder roll in as the thunder rolls, as Garth Brooks says.
It was nice, though.
Yeah, thunder rolled in this morning a little bit, and it kind of got me thinking. Yeah, I've been moonlighting a bit here recently. Been playing, do Bryant Insurance by day, and I've been playing Rehab Man by night. We're in the process.
Rehab Man.
Yes, Rehab Man. I wear a cape the whole bit.
Really? You have a big R on your chest too?
Probably not the big R, no. Anyway, we're in the process of selling our house. And so, not here. It's the house we moved from.
Oh, the one down in the big city.
In the big, I guess so. It's not really that big. Justin's not that big of a town, although technically it is city of Fort Worth.
It's large.
It is large.
They got 3 high schools.
Okay. Anyway, I think we're killing the lead here, Rick.
Yes.
Anyway, so what we've been doing, we've had some, we obviously lived in it for, 10, 11 years. We moved out to Grand. We went ahead and put some tenants in there. And, the market conditions were right. It looked like it was a really good time to sell. So, contacted an agent, and we're putting the house on the market. So, biggest question a lot of folks have is, hey, what are my insurance requirements when I go from either living in the house directly to selling it?
Right.
You're not in it anymore. You've moved all your stuff out. You're in the process of, paint, carpet, tile, all that stuff you're going to put on the market for sale. Or you've had some tenants in it, and maybe you've had a landlord policy and you're moving it to a vacant policy to get it ready for sale. And you need to be careful on the stipulations of kind of what you're doing and make sure that your insurance coverage is where you need it to be, because gosh forbid if something happens. For example, we've got, we've got some really, really good neighbors that live out there, and they keep, eyes on the house. And, obviously we keep the blinds down, lock the doors. I've got an alarm system on it. So we're protected as much as we can from that aspect. But you want to make sure that there's coverage if, gosh forbid, somebody breaks in. The other fun part is, hey, what if, you're not there? And a pipe bursts, and it's just going to keep going,
right.
going, going.
And you're going to have a flood problem.
You're going to have a flood problem.
Flood problem.
You want to make sure that you've got coverage for that, and you want to make sure it comes down to timing, because typically on most policies if you're living in the home and you go from living in it to I moved all my stuff out, I moved to a new home, and now I'm going to sell this home. Usually, sometimes, not always, you have about 30 to 60 days to get a vacant policy on that. But in the case of other carriers, if you go from, say, a landlord policy, which, again, a landlord policy covers the house but not really anything in it unless you supply the house fully furnished. So if you go from like a landlord policy to a vacant policy, you need to do it right away. As soon as our tenants left, I immediately switched it over to a vacant home policy. Now, vacant home policies typically cost a lot more, and the reason being is you don't have somebody there that has eyes and ears on it daily for things like your flood, stuff like that. So therefore, the premium is going to be a little bit higher because the risk is a little bit higher. It's all about balancing risk and premium and so forth like that. So you want to make sure from a timing perspective that you've got your days down and, hey, when am I moving out? When are my tenants moving out? Things like that. The other thing you want to make sure of is when you're writing the policy, you explain to your agent, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. If it's something as simple as I got to paint the walls, I got to, I don't know, maybe replace a door, paint a door, something like that, that's pretty simple, not a big deal. If you're going the other route where, matter of fact, I have a cousin that will go and buy foreclosed homes or homes that are, low market value homes, and he'll turn around and rehab them to the point of maybe moving walls, adding a bedroom, adding a bathroom, stuff like that, changing out windows, things of that nature. That's kind of more of a major rehab project.
Right.
You need to make sure that you've got a builder's risk policy in place for that. Again, to make sure that the right kind of coverage is there. There's not a one-size-fits-all type of a thing. And, all of these suggestions, all of this advice that we're dealing out, it's all well and good, and if people take that advice, that's great. If they don't, you typically find out after the fact, which is never a good time to find out that, it should have been covered that way. Oh, I didn't realize that. And unfortunately, sometimes folks get themselves into a bit of a pickle when they realize after the fact that it wasn't covered right, and some things like a pipe burst that caused $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 worth of sheetrock flooring damage wasn't covered. They got to pay that out of pocket, and that's a big hickey to have to absorb.
Let's say you've got somebody that's got a house in your situation, like you moved from one town to another. You still have the other house,
right?
How long do they have to inform the insurance company, inform y'all that, hey, we've moved out of that house and we no longer are staying in it because that policy is going to be different? Exactly,
yeah, and that's what we're getting back to with the amount of days. Typically, we found that it went from, just in our particular situation, when I went from not living in it anymore to having some tenants in it, I immediately switched it to a landlord policy. Because I had people living in there and I wanted to make sure it was covered properly. If it's a situation where we had left, we didn't have a tenant in there, but we were going to go back and do some minor rehab stuff, some companies it's 30 to 60 days is what they give you leeway time on that. If it's a situation like we're in now where, hey, our tenants have moved out, we're still doing some minor rehab to try to get it on the market, they want you to go from a landlord to a vacant home policy immediately to make sure that there's coverage there because, no one's there. You want to make sure that you have the adequate coverage there to cover a loss if that happens.
If you are like I say, professional landlord, I guess.
Correct.
And you've got a lot of rent houses, and there's a lot of people moving in, moving out, and you've got empty, vacant sometimes. Do you got to call every time and get that switched up?
Typically, if you're a professional landlord, have 10, 15, 20 rent homes, there are policies and packages that we have that actually deal with specifically like that. Anybody that has 10 and over, we have companies that will write those, and it's somewhat understood that if you have a rental property that's on the market year, 2, 3 years, and it's just constantly being rented, and you're going from tenant to tenant, that's typically understood. Now, if it goes, say, more than 60 days in a situation like that, that's when it's going to become a vacant policy. 60 days seems to be the magic window for most companies, not all, but most companies. So it's, somebody doesn't always move out on the first and somebody doesn't move right back in that same day. So there's a little bit of leeway with that, but typically 60 days is vacant policies. And what you want to make sure, one of the reasons why you want to make sure you have the right coverage is because if it goes into that 61st day, there's not typically coverage for burglary, vandalism, things like that. So it's all about kind of when things are happening, when things are moving around, and making sure that you have the right coverage, and make sure that you're not left holding the bag, so to speak.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Is I think it, not just in this case, but a lot of cases when it comes to insurance, is knowing that you have the right coverage.
Yep.
Because a lot of times I think, like in my case, I'm lucky. The fact is I got a wife that's an insurance agent, so I don't have to deal with a lot of this stuff.
She's pretty good.
Yeah.
This just in, folks. She's pretty good.
She's pretty good. So I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's countless people out there that are having to deal with these sort of things, and it's so confusing to the general public. And, that's why they need to give you guys a call when they have questions, no matter what it is.
You're exactly right, Rick. And I'll make this example, too. We've got a gentleman that's working with me to help rehab this. This guy knows everything. Licensed electrician, plumber, the whole bit. And I know I can probably paint some windows and stuff like that, but when it comes to, he had to change out a breaker the other day, he's having to deal with some plumbing issues. I know a few things, but I don't know that.
Right.
And so I called him because I know that he knows that, and I know he knows exactly what he's doing. Same thing with insurance. We know what we're doing. We know the ins, the outs, the rules, the regulations, the little things that you got to watch out for. So having an agent, having somebody that knows what they're doing is key. At the end of the day, you want to make sure you're covered the way you need to be. You need to get with an agent to make sure that you kind of got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. I always get those messed up.
I do too. But it's really simple to do it too. You just call 549-2525.
Yep.
Ask for somebody to help you out, and then there's somebody's going to be there live. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to dial 1 for English or Spanish. You don't have to. You don't have to be stuck on hold and wait forever in a month. I mean, you're going to be able to get a hold of somebody, and they're going to help you out.
Oh, yeah. We've got, Ann, Lynette, myself, we all handle personal line stuff. So homes, rental properties, autos, things like that, vacation homes, condos, tenants, all that good stuff. But the other side of the factor is if you are the professional landlord, maybe you want a commercial policy because you've got 10, 15, 20 homes that you own under a business. We've got Ty, we've got Brad, we've got Steve, got a lot of folks that handle it from the commercial side as well.
So give them a call today. And also, I know you got websites and stuff like that too.
Yeah, Bryan, INS, BRYAN, INS.com. Check us out on Facebook. We've got a Twitter feed going. You want to get our tweets, so follow us on Twitter. Got a YouTube channel going. A lot of cool stuff. Just, anytime you want to come up and visit second floor of the Sierra Bank building, we'll give you that free elevator ride, and let's just let us help you make sure you're covered the way you need to be.
So get it done at Bryan Insurance today, and you'll be glad you did. All right. Keep that 8 o'clock hour going. Brought to you by Smart Hardware and Lumber out on east side of PK Lake. We'll be talking about them throughout the morning. Sports coming up, so stick around and keep it rolling on your Smart Hardware 8 o'clock hour.